Yeah, no, I mean, we don't have time to go through all the times that I ranked the guy wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the inexact science of scouting. And I'm not using this as an escape for myself, but one thing that I always try to make clear is that people, there are kind of two ways to do what I do in terms of writing and ranking and prospects. There are the people who go out and see the player and base it on their own evaluations, and then there are the people who are sort of more sort of reporters in that they talk to as many people in the scouting industry as possible. And I'm in that bucket, right? So I'm not excusing myself. I put my name, behind any of the rankings I do, but, as we're recording this, we're about to put out our draft top 100 for the 2021 draft. I guarantee you that we'll have guys who are high up on the list who haven't made it. And, guys are like, man, I swore that guy was going to be like really, really good and hasn't, never got there. Every single year. So, you look at a guy like Shane Bieber, and I don't remember the exact number. He was in our draft top 200, but he was like 168th, something like that. He went in the 4th round. No other team really had him before the 6th round, right? Jacob deGrom was a 9th rounder. You look at that, even in the frame of the 1st round, 24 teams passed on Mike Trout. And that's always the go-to in terms of you just don't know, it happens all the time. So yeah, I've missed plenty of times. I'm trying to think of a guy that I'm like, I was sure that guy, based on what I had heard or even what I had seen from an amateur standpoint, I'll give you one example. I thought for sure Travis Snyder was going to be a guy who was going to hit 300 every year. I liked the swing, everything I had heard. We always ranked him pretty highly. I knew he wasn't like super duper athletic, but I just thought the left-handed swing was going to work. I remember when the Pirates got him, I'm like, well, that could really work in PNC Park, and just didn't. He had some nice years. He was a good player. I mean, I don't want to dismiss someone who has I don't remember how much time he ended up having, 6 years in the big leagues. That's pretty good when you think about the percentage of guys who even make it to the big leagues. But he was a guy that in my head I remember thinking, boy, that guy is going to be a really good hitter. And I like guys. It's like I like guys who have a feel for pitching, and I like guys who just seem like pure hitters. Probably too much, But he was a guy that I was like, he's going to hit. Never really was quite as good as I thought he was going to be. Sorry, Travis.
I think that I don't think I know. There are so many different variables that could influence a player's career from draft day and on. So many different things. And a lot of it's like who you look up to, what guys you gel with in the clubhouse, who you surround yourself with. I mean, I could look back and think about a couple of years where I played with Travis Snyder and thinking about how good he was. And he did end up playing for quite a few teams. I think he ended his career in AAA with the Rangers, I believe, or was it the White Sox? He's done playing now, right, Jonathan?
I don't know. I don't know why I thought of him, and maybe talking to you, I thought, because I know you guys,
we played
the same generation, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He last touched the big leagues in 2015, and his last year.
2015 was his last year in the big leagues.
The last time he touched the big leagues, so he was in the minors. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought
more recent
with the Diamondbacks in 2019.
Reno,
where he hit 294 and slugged 497.
Reno's a great place to hit.
Yeah, it is. It is a great place. He was in the. I mean, I didn't even know that he was in the Atlantic League in 2018.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys' careers, and this is not Travis, but I've seen a lot of shouldn't have been, or just mentally not being able to manage failure properly, and it just affect them so much, and then they never recover from it. One's perspective and outlook plays such a huge role in their development, and these swings, these ups and downs. Like 10 years, 20 years is a long time, and when you have a career like that, I mean, I applaud those guys that are able to get here and stay here and just maintain those like Buster Posies, Brandon Crawfords, the guys that just consistently put out those great numbers. They are very stable on the field, but their personal lives are very stable as well.
Hmm.
A lot of the times when players struggle, it's something going on with their personal lives. So in your defense, I think that people a lot of the times will put the prospect lists can be fairly accurate, but you just never know what's going to happen to these guys off the field, and that plays such a huge role. Like, have they met the wrong girl? There's so many different things that can affect them. What do they start caring about? There, so many different things.
Yeah, no, you forget that you guys are human too, right? So, I remember there have been times, and I can't think of a specific, but where a guy looked like he was in upward trajectory, and then all of a sudden there's a year or something like this, and then like, well, what happened? It didn't make any sense because none of the things pointed to that, and it turned out that like his marriage split up or something like that, right? Like, think about, for people listening who don't play the game and something goes wrong, you lose a family member, whatever it is, and like you can't focus on what you're doing, and now you're supposed to do it in front of a whole lot of people and produce, and like the expectations sometimes are unfair. Now, yeah, especially when you're at the highest level and you start making real money, okay, so the expectations should be higher for the guys who are the big leagues. But if you're you're trying to make the leap from high A to double A, which is hard enough when everything else is the same, and then something goes awry like that, you're right. I think the human element in all of it too often gets forgotten, whether it's in prospect rankings or expectations of a guy to be something that the world expects him to be.